Hello everyone, another really quick video here just to talk about how you could potentially combine the different standalone elements of the games of the Mutant Year Zero series. How you could bring them together if you've played the disparate campaigns by a little bit of like how I've done it so far and that sort of thinking. So, you know, you've got Genlab Alpha, where the animal mutants had to escape from Paradise Valley. So my first thinking was totally forward thinking that basically I was going to do Genlab Alpha, I was going to do Mechatron and Elysium all before actually ever doing Mutant Year Zero. So the thing was basically do those three, unlock them all as things, get like 3 different lots of player characters, so you've got a whole bunch of alts. Try to see how many you can get out into the world from their respective confined elements, because they are not wandering the world, unlike, say, something like Year Zero, Mutant Year Zero, the actual initial game, where it's a hex crawl. And basically the hexes are all generated as you come upon them, and you roll on charts to generate the hexes. So it's a randomized hex crawl. These are all specified locations with which a campaign setting is based within. Genlab Alpha, the animals essentially had to escape Paradise Valley and get out into the zone. There was literally fences stopping them from leaving, electrified fences and gun turrets and sentries and all of that. And they get out into the zone, and then animals can be in the zone. So I had a party, they played the animals and they got out into the zone, and that was it. And they had their bit of storyline, and they had to try and get one of their wounded ones some help, or he was going to die, and that's fine. Then we played Mechatron, so we left them basically. As soon as they got into the zone, we left them. It's like, I wonder what's going to happen. My thinking was, how is all of that going to support the eventual gaming of Mutant Year Zero? And so the plan was, is to make sure the location is within a long walking distance. So I'm down over in the New Forest. So the thinking is, if I ran, say, Mutant Year Zero, the main mutant one, that I would run that in the city centre of Southampton itself, where you'd all get to be mutants. I'd use an overlay of the map of Southampton, basically what it looks like now in the post-apocalyptic setting. And not that you could notice the difference on a Friday night in usual times, you're trying to walk down the street and you see the drunks coming out, and all that sort of, it's practically Mad Max, damn it. You can see I don't get out much. I'm frightened of people. So that would be great, just overlaying the map and going to those real locations that have been affected and devastated by apocalypse. You can make so many jokes here, can you? Right, so to not do those within walking distance, that they've maybe gone a long way. So maybe they've come from some far off part of the New Forest and they've made their way across through the remnants of the New Forest to maybe to get near to Southampton itself, or whatever. They're on their way. The Mechatron is basically, it's an underwater city led by one of the other factions. So now the thing with that is that basically ends with an escape into the real world as well of the robot characters. So you've got these animal characters loose, and then you've got robot characters loose, and everybody rolled a robot character, especially for this. And then when they got out over land, I had the animal characters meet the robot characters. So everybody had to dig out their animal sheets, and they got to basically double play their characters meeting each other and all that kind of thing. So we had this mad kind of team up for the finale push of Mechatron itself. So the animal characters, they met them, they came back to Mechatron, they were invited in. Hey, we've met this lot from above, and we'll all try and escape Mechatron together. And now we've got this like team up of robots and animals together, the survivors of the end of Mechatron as a campaign. So that was one way I did it. And then, so I've had Mechatron be a location off the coast somewhere, there, and again within, you know, reaching distance of all that, just off Solent kind of into whoop, and yeah, and that whole thing, you know, yeah, it was able to move up through the New Forest up towards Southampton, getting close towards it. And there was another mad thing. They've got like a huge Annihilator, massive robot statted up there, which I decided to use. It's basically like a Fallout 4 style Liberty Prime that you can set off, and it's got its own like nukes and stuff that you can fire. And insanely, one of the players who had like a hover pack, one of the robot characters, got up there and managed to inject one of the robot virus drugs into the thing, basically interact with it and put this robot drug in thing in, and it became self-aware and suddenly fearful, this killing machine, and it went ape and scared and ran into the sea and disappeared basically into the water. So where's it going to re-emerge again? And I basically said to the players, you know, if you ever play Mutant at some point with, you know, your mutant characters, and some sort of badass frightened Liberty Prime type thing comes out of the sea and there's like an incident, you'll know why it's happening, and you'll know the time scale of what else is happening on the other side of the water at that moment. So, you know, because you've got a lot of fun you can have with the estuary there of Southampton as well as an area. So, I mean, yeah, they left and you've got the robots and the animals together. Now, how Elysium's going to meld into it, I'm not sure. It may or may not work. There may or may not be an exit from Elysium, because the way Elysium is set up, that the people of Elysium 1 have been told that there's nothing up there left. There's no survivors. There's no one around. It's not that there's robots. It's not that there's animal mutants. It's not that there's normal mutants. You know, there's no one left up there. That's what they've been told. So they've got this whole misinformation dealy going on, just like a lot of the other ones have. So, you know, how are they going to feel about it? Will they try and leave Elysium at some point? I don't necessarily feel compelled to have those ones also come across. Now, if there feels like there's a natural in to get them into to meet with the other ones at some point, I'll take it. But I'm not going to try to set one up like I did the other way. So the idea being that when it comes to actually playing Mutant, I'd get everyone to then roll Mutant characters. Now, I see that as a much longer campaign. You'd play that more as like a more proper campaign. I've tried to run these other ones just in their pure campaign time frame of just you know, somewhere between 8 and 11 sessions long, basically. So, you know, a shortish campaign, you know, really trying to get it done, finished, gone, and that's it. It's gone. It's done. With a lot of the thinking towards, you know, even the mentality of handing the XP out that way. So starting them with 5 XP so they can level up straight away. And because it's going to be a shorter campaign. And a lot of other things that were just shortened, abbreviated. Some of the elements are abbreviated so that we can just kind of get quicker results to them. Not playing out all of like a lot of the sub things that you could do. And I mean, with Mechatron, there was kind of a lot less of that to do anyway. With Genlab, it encouraged a bit more exploration because you had all like the travel narrative thing to really experience that sort of rolling on tables and see what you meet during the travel bit, which you get a lot more doing Mutant itself. So that's kind of its thing. I'll let Mutant. You know, they had a taste of what it would be like in Mutant, without the full-on experience of the overland travel system there. So when they'd all play mutants within the arc, they would then, you know, create after doing Elysium, if these same characters, if these same players happen to play Elysium with me, then they would then by the time they end up doing Mutant itself, the original Mutant with me, that would be their 4th character basically within that setting, and they'd all be playing mutants of this one particular arc. And the arc I'm thinking of making there is actually an Isle of Wight ferry. That's how I see it, down at Southampton Docks. The leftovers of a ferry, I think, would be quite cool. And, you know, might be something that I can source blueprints for, you know, so I might be able to go to them and say, hey, do you have blueprints for this? I'm not asking in any suspicious way for the blueprints of your ferry. Yeah, you know, I just want it as a map making for my geekery. Yeah, you know, they'd be playing it and they wouldn't know about the existence of things like robots and animal mutants and this sort of thing. So they'd be going out into the world, and if they happen to encounter animals or robots or anything like that, then it's, you know, it's going to be a surprise to those characters doing that. But I've always got the chance of basically introducing that conglomeration of animal and robot that left Mechatron, and basically like a DLC style steamrolling them into the world and saying, haha, you meet this, whoom, and, you know, it's then able to be this huge narrative moment. Whoa, that happened. And it also gives players unusual alts that they could use if they wanted. So, for instance, the way, off the top of my head, I'd look at doing that. If everyone was cordial, having met and worked it all out, they could say, hey, come back to our arc and help it. And there's basically, there are things in the other 3 books that tell you these real humans, robots, and animal mutants, these different things can bring new ideas and upgrades and technology and all the rest of it to an arc. So they can expand an arc in specific ways based on those sub 3 factions. So they'd be able to change the arc in some way and upgrade it, alter its character in some way, which would be nice. And it would be, you know, self-exacting the results there. You'd see it within the stats of the arc and the kind of projects the arc can then run. And you could say, yes, well, you know, some of those will then join the arc, and a lot of them will then just become NPCs in the background. You know, if we kind of have to use them, the player can quickly just, you know, play them for the conversation, but the actual mutant group is the group that goes out. But if someone needs an alt for some reason, well, they could suddenly grab their robot or their animal or whatever, and they could say, well, you come with me out, actually you join our team, help us, and we go out in the world together. And they carry on with a familiar character that they've already played in 1 or 2 campaigns or what have you. Now, having brought it, if it's an animal, they would be then having played that character in 3 different mini campaigns, which would be mad, wouldn't it? So you've got that kind of crossover thing, but it's done in a way that feels more organic, even though it'd be sort of planned, enforced. It's like, I had these 2 set to meet, and now the thinking is these 2 that have met can probably steamroll into a mutant campaign at some point. It still would feel organic to the players, you know. And it's like an ultimate treat. It's like I hope, an Easter egg for them, you know, like an ongoing Easter egg, you know, like some Willy Wonka type Easter egg that just never ends. A self-perpetuating Easter egg, you know. What will go wrong with that? That's why you sign the release forms. Take a bite. Yeah, and so there we are. You know, that's how I see the campaigns being able to intermix. You could just say straight from the off, you know, you could be one of those guys that goes, I'm not going to play any of the other 3. I'm going to just say, hey, these are all source books. We're going to play a game of Mutant. Choose from any of those and we'll start an arc. And you already know about all these other things. But I think there's something richer for the mutants all starting together as mutants and having a kind of ignorance about what it is out there, that what else is out there. The fact that there's the robots and the animal mutants and all the other things, and the fact that there's even real humans somewhere out there it's a big deal, you know, for me. And I want those to be narrative, real strong plot moments, you know. They need to be milestones there on the timeline for me. So I think like to let the mutants experience the realization of what the real world actually looks like and do it from their point of view. I think that's the thing that will give the overall richer campaign for Mutant Year Zero. And, you know, that's the one I'm looking forward to. Hopefully they wouldn't have burnt out on the other ones by the time we'd actually get to Year Zero. But I see Year Zero itself happening when there's like a bit of a gap and I've got the right mindset that I can really do a good push at it in a free sort of way without having to rush like I'm doing the other ones. I do feel very much like the need to rush and just get these other ones done so that they're, you know, they're not in the way, they're not taking up too much time, we've got other things to play. And the main mutant experience awaits still, probably. But that's the concept. That's how you may begin to think about trying to combine them, work them together. See you at the next one, guys and gals.